Uh, Dave, are you familiar with Flat Earth Dave? Oh. If you're not familiar with Flat Earth Dave, then you definitely need to stay. If you've seen the presentation before, I'm happy to announce that it's a new one. So you're going to see something that you haven't seen before. Are we ready to cue the... There's music. There's a video Dave wanted to start. We'll start that process.
Do you feel the ground moving beneath your feet? Or is it all just smoke and deceit? Welcome to the edge of the unknown, where the truth's been buried, but the seeds are sown. They say we're spinning, whirling through space, but I don't feel it, and not even a trace. The horizon's flat, it's plain to see. Open your eyes, flatness is your reality. The world ain't round, the globe is on trial. Once you see it's flat, there is no denial. Flat Earth, baby, truth in the air. We're not spinning, we're standing right there. Now we are awake, and the veil's been torn. Flat Earth forever, where the truth is born. The sun and the moon, they're not so far. Lights in the dome, just like the stars. The maps they gave us are upside down. The globe illusion got you spinning around. The world's not round, the globe is on trial. Once you see it's flat, there is no denial. Flat Earth, baby, truth in the air. We're not spinning, we're standing right there. Now we are awake and the veil's been torn. Flat Earth forever, where the truth is born. It feels like it's not moving because it's stationary. Water always reaches a level equilibrium. It feels like it's not moving because it's stationary. Water always reaches a level equilibrium. Water always reaches a level equilibrium. Water always reaches a level equilibrium. Oh, yeah, water always reaches a level equilibrium. The ancients knew, they carved it in stone, but now the truth has been overthrown. The tides, the winds, it's all a charade. The globe's a work of fiction, a masquerade. Open your eyes, it's right there to see. The world is flat, and we're finally free. Flat Earth, baby, truth in the air. We're not spinning, we're standing right there. Now we are awake, and the veil's been torn. Flat Earth forever, where the truth is born. Flat Earth, baby, truth in the air, truth in the air. We're not spinning, we're standing right there, standing right there. Now we are awake, and the veil's been torn. Flat Earth forever, where the truth is born. The earth is flat, the skies are near. The truth is here, there's nothing to fear. We've seen the lies and we've broken the spell, and we're sending the globe straight to hell. Water always reaches a level equilibrium. Water always reaches a level equilibrium. Water always reaches a level equilibrium. Water always reaches a level equilibrium.
You can check out David Weiss's YouTube channel at Flat Earth David Weiss. Please welcome back to the stage the one and only Flat Earth Dave.
All right, thank you, everybody. So when I do these presentations, I have to think like, do I want to cover a couple topics in depth? And that never works out. And so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go really fast. We're going to touch on a lot of things. So if you want to get into it deeper, tomorrow I have a workshop at 9 a.m. and we can get into some deeper conversations there. So the theme of this is, you're not stupid, it's stupid, because the globe is stupid. And the people that defend it, not saying they're stupid, just saying they don't know what they're defending. They don't know anything about it. You know, you have to do backflips, science nonsense to figure out the heliocentric model. It makes no sense. So how do they get away with it? Well, it's all about mind control. Our mind works. We have our subconscious memory bank and we have our conscious screen. And through life experience, that screen gets finer and finer and finer, and it sorts things out. But if you're under 7 years old or 4, when they teach you about the globe by somebody that you trust, like a teacher, you believe it and you store it as truthful information and you build your whole life around it. This is why people get so triggered when you tell them the earth is flat, because they become a 4-year-old when you say it, because that's where the memory is based, right? So they teach you, when you're in first grade, kindergarten, that the earth goes around the sun and all the nonsense. And it's ridiculous. For example, if I told you I used to be the president of the United States, most of you, hopefully all of you, will just rule that out. You'll store it as false information. And that's it. No need to verify, right? But I really was president of the United States, But if you told a kid that, they would store that as truthful information unless they investigated it. They might, hey, that guy was president. They'll just believe it because belief is the enemy of knowing. Belief is the lazy man's knowing. It takes no effort. I live in Connecticut. You can believe it, or you can take some time and figure it out. That I do. So the question is, what do they want you to believe? If you Google, are vaccines good for you? What are you going to get? You're going to get the opposite. If you Google top 10 flat earth proofs, you're going to get all of the opposite. Proof, why flat earth is stupid, debunking flat earth. This is what Google's going to serve you. That should be your first clue, being all of you anarchists out here. You should know that what they're trying to do. As a matter of fact, they had a congressional hearing about it. Volume? No volume?
Such as searching for the earth is flat on YouTube, where you see a lot of...
Your response is to put a box saying, nope, the earth is not flat.
Correct.
Okay.
So this was a congressional hearing where they were hitting up YouTube saying, what are you going to do about all these conspiracy theories? And they used flat earth as their example. Everybody uses flat earth as their example. If you were here for the opening, Kat talked about flat earth. Everyone talks about flat earth because flat earth is on the back of everyone's mind because it's where we live. There's tons of disclosed documents by NASA, by the CIA, by Lockheed Martin, all of these documents, and they all have a common theme. And that theme would be, let me get to it, is they all say to treat the earth as a flat, stationary, non-rotating plane, right? These are government documents. You can find them in the Library of Congress. You can find them everywhere. So, interesting. They're telling us revelation of the method, but people will just be like, nope, earth is a globe. My kindergarten teacher told me, and that's it. So let's talk about some proofs, and we're going to talk about some things they do to make you believe nonsense, right? So many of you know what the analemma is, and many of you don't. The analemma is when you take a picture of the sun at the same time every day. You can do it every day, every week, every month, whatever. it'll make this figure 8 pattern in the sky. It'll make a small loop and a big loop. And let me show you how that works on a flat Earth. On a flat Earth, the sun in December is out over that yellow line called the Tropic of Capricorn and makes a big circle in 24 hours. So it's moving faster in a greater distance over 24 hours. And then in June, the sun migrates all the way into the Tropic of Cancer and makes a smaller circle. So when you take pictures of the sun, it creates this pattern. They used to be on every globe, but they took it off because they don't want people questioning why there's a big loop and a small loop. If you look at the picture on the right, the smaller loop is higher up. It's not really higher up. It's just closer. So you can tell this picture was taken in the afternoon in the north because the smaller loop appears to be higher up in the sky. So here is a guy that took the picture every single day for 3 years. And this is the pattern of the sun. Again, you can tell this was in the north, and because the smaller loop appears to be higher just due to perspective. Think of streetlights going down the street. And it makes that shape. There is no explanation for this on a globe Earth. It only works on a flat Earth. Here's a guy, didn't take them so consistently, but you can see the figure 8, and you see those other 4 lines that are going down. On those days, he took pictures every 15 minutes or so. So if you look all the way on the highest point, that long line, that was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and the sun sets around 8:30, 9 o'clock that night. But if you look in December, the sun is much lower and the sun sets much earlier, just like we experience, right? So the analemma proves flat Earth. Here are the streetlights, right? The streetlights, as they go away, they get lower. They're all the same height. So that's what you're seeing with the analemma. Globers like to make empty claims. There's no proof of flat Earth. There's only proof of flat Earth. There's no proof of the globe. Everything they say is the opposite. But if you say it in like a British accent or an Australian accent, and you wear a lab coat, people will just believe it because belief is the lazy man's knowing. For example, IFL Science said, flat earther proved wrong using a security camera. Well, this guy had a security camera and he took a picture every day, and the shadow, the corner of his house created an analemma. And he created a small loop and a big loop, right? And they just said, flat earther disproves himself with a security camera, when in fact, it proves the globe is incorrect. It actually proves flat Earth. But they say the opposite. Nobody bothers to check. Nobody says, what do you mean it proves it? It actually proves the Earth is flat and not a globe. And another way is the story of Eratosthenes. Eratosthenes, a Greek guy that said, he saw the sun in the bottom of a well, and he said, hey, if I send my buddy 500 miles away and he puts a stick up and we can measure the shadow, we can figure out the sphericity of the Earth. And that's cool. That's good if the sun rays came in parallel from an infinite distance, which, the sun is 93 million miles away, they say. But no one's ever seen parallel sun rays. So here is Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about it.
Or second, we could have a curved Earth with a sun that's big and far away, so that all the light comes in parallel, but only one well at a time is lit all the way to the bottom. Turns out with just 2 wells, there's enough wiggle room for both explanations to fit our observations. Eratosthenes only had 2 wells. But what if he had added a third? With a third well, it doesn't matter where the sun is. No flat Earth model can explain the angles of all 3 shadows.
An empty claim. No flat Earth model can fill that, but it actually works. He's showing that it actually works. Right? You can have 100 wells on a flat Earth with a local sun, and it would do the same thing as a ball. So the Eratosthenes experiment that never happened doesn't prove either flat Earth or globe Earth. So the next question is, how do seasons work? Seasons, how would we have seasons, they would say, on a globe Earth, on a flat Earth? Seasons prove flat Earth, right? So they tell us the sun is 860,000 miles wide, which is just ridiculous. So if it was an 85-foot sphere, the Earth would be a basketball 2 miles away. And they want us to believe that we have drastic temperature difference just by tilting that ball a little bit. Like if you're standing in front of a campfire and you went like this, are you going to freeze and boil? Are you going to freeze and boil? So this is happening right now, but this is from last year. Here's a globe, and I was here in Puerto Morelos on the tip of the Yucatan, and it was 90 degrees. At home in the Northeast, it was -10 Fahrenheit, 100-degree swing in temperature. So on a heliocentric globe model, the sun is 0.00003% farther, insignificant number. Right? A globe will tell you, no, that's significant because there's a 100-degree difference. That doesn't mean anything because the spin of the Earth creates more of a tilt differential than the alleged tilt of the Earth. But let's look at that on a flat Earth. So here we are. The sun is moving around. It was about 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon when I checked the temperature. And so the sun was right here, right there. And I was at the end of that yellow line, and it was 100 degrees colder at the end of the green line. That's twice as far. Does that make more sense? If you got twice as far from your campfire, it's colder. It's very simple. And seasons prove flat Earth. I mean, it's impossible on a ball. On my app, which I created to help people teach themselves and teach others, you can get deep into all of these topics. I have a section on the frequently asked questions page called Seasons. So most of us believe there is some sort of enclosure. It's kind of provable. We haven't seen it. We haven't touched it. We're not allowed to go there, but it's clear that there is a dome above us. Yeah, the thing is, you're breathing air. Well, air needs to be contained. Nobody can bring me a gassy gas in without a container. Gas needs to be contained. To have air pressure, you need to have containment. High pressure seeks low pressure, right? People say, well, it's gravity, gravity, mass attracting mass. Well, that's been changed. We were taught about Newtonian gravity where mass attracts mass, but they changed that recently to Einsteinian gravity, which is the bending and warping of space-time. You guys have all heard that, but none of you know what it means because nobody knows what it means. It's just stupid, right? It's the bending and warping of your mind. The bending and warping of space-time, if you really look into it, it makes absolutely no sense. Here we have some balloons with just a little air in them, put in a airtight bag in a vacuum chamber. And as they evacuate it, you'll see them expand. On the right, we have the one and only time in the 60s, NASA put out an astronaut in a vacuum, and before they got half the air out, he passed out and almost died, right? So, and they've never done it since then. So, having something in a vacuum doesn't work. This is a shot of the astronauts on the space station. Now, boy, you couldn't fake that. If there was no air up there and they had air in their flexible snowboarding outfits, they would look like this at best. And actually, it's worse than that. They would explode, right? Here's a football, which is much thicker than the material on their spacesuit, and if we lower the air pressure, it explodes, right? That's what would happen to anything in space. Here we have gas on the bottom, a valve in the middle, and a vacuum on the top. And when we open it up, you're going to watch. The gas is going to go right up to the top. Gravity's not going to hold it down. And now, if we made that top bulb 10 times bigger or 1,000,000 times bigger, the gas would go up even more violently. And if we just expanded it more and more and more, the vacuum, it would just go incredibly. Here's a gas simulator, and we made the outside a vacuum. And when we get rid of the container, the air's gone instantaneously. This is what would happen. Gravity cannot hold air down, and you can prove that with a straw. Put a straw in your mouth, point it downward, and then with the tiny low pressure difference of your mouth and lungs, you can pull water and liquid up and away from gravity effortlessly. So how does the gravity hold the air down with a Tor 17 vacuum in space, which we can't even reproduce here on Earth? On Earth, NASA has a vacuum chamber that can make a Tor 10 vacuum, and it has walls of concrete and steel 10 feet thick. But we have an aluminum can with space station with, everybody just making pizza up there. Here's a picture allegedly from the Voyager spacecraft that took a picture, and it said it's called the pale blue dot. Carl Sagan. That's Earth. You see Earth? You recognize it, right? That is a ball with gas around it, and the rest is a vacuum. What's wrong with that picture? The air would just go poof, and we'd all be dead, right? Now the question is, what is gravity? Well, gravity, the thing that makes things go down is electrostatics. Here is a neutrally buoyant balloon, and just by this guy putting his hands around the balloon, it's creating a field that's pulling it. He's connected to the ground, so he has a neutral or negative charge to him. The sky is a measurable, testable, positive charge, right? There is no experiment ever that has been done that isolates electrostatics when they're trying to prove gravity. You can hear about the Cavendish experiment, which is just ridiculous. A guy hung 2 lead balls in his barn and they attracted each other, but he did not isolate electrostatics. So you want to learn more about gravity, the frequently asked questions page on my app. Where does the sun go and why doesn't it shrink to a dot? Well, the question is, does it shrink to a dot? And by the way, globers only look up at the sky to measure the shape of the floor. So the shape of the floor is the shape of the floor. We don't live in the sky and we live on the floor. So here we have these clouds, and let's say those clouds, just for a number, 10,000 feet above your head. Going into the distance, they're still 10,000 feet, but perspective makes them look like they're going down. And the farther they go, it looks like they just merge with the horizon. Now you could imagine that that's curvature, but if you actually measure the distances, it would make no sense. So I call that the horizontal eye zone or the horizon, right? Words have meaning in them. When you look up, you're looking through the thinnest amount of atmosphere. When you look across, you're looking through infinite atmosphere. So as you can see there on the bottom, the atmosphere becomes thick and opaque. So here's, I have some just simulated clouds here, and I got the sun. As the sun moves away, it's not going down. It's just like a street light. It disappears from the bottom up as it passes each cloud. And each cloud gets closer and closer to that horizontal eye zone. And then when it gets to the point where you can't see beneath it, it just goes beyond it. And it looks like it's going below the earth. So let's look at some real examples in a moment. So the question is, why doesn't it get smaller? Well, watch this.
Okay, now check this out. Here we have 2 lighted balls representing the sun or moon. One of them is close and large, and the other is far and small due to perspective. Now you will notice that the 2 balls are at eye level, and as we drag one away, it reduces in size quickly and matches the farther one when it gets there. This is just due to simple eye level perspective. Now we are going to raise the camera straight up, not getting any closer to the far ball, and you will see that both balls have reduced in size and look fairly close to the same size. As we move the closer ball away again, you will notice how it does not shrink much due to perspective. The phenomenon you're witnessing is called foreshortening in art. Or, more technically, it's an effect of angular perspective compression, or diminution of apparent size. So the next time a globetard says, if the Earth was flat, the sun would shrink as it moves away, you can ask them if they know what foreshortening or angular perspective compression is, and flat smack that smug know-it-all look right off their face.
So it's a lot easier just to say, nah, it has to get smaller as it goes away, but it really does
Here I
get
have
smaller.
2 different time lapses of the sun, where I have zoomed in all the way in on the sun so you can see the sunspots, the sun is properly exposed, and 2 times I got a change in size. So, Globers, I don't know what you're going to say now, but yeah, the sun changes size, I'm sorry. And you know, it's not my fault. It's not my fault that the sun is local and it changes size. It really isn't. I mean, you can say refraction all you want, but first your argument is it doesn't change size. Then we go out and prove it does change size, and now you're saying refraction, well, that's an automatic win. You're conceding at that point that you were wrong and it does change size. So, welcome to Flat Earth.
So we've gotten up to a 40% reduction in size, which there's no explanation on the globe. But as the sun goes away, it's also, you're looking at it through more and more atmosphere. So it's actually, as it's shrinking a little bit, it's also being magnified by the humidity in the air. But there's all different times where you'll see it shrink to a dot. You'll see it get bigger. But there's no explanation for the globe in that. The next thing is, the sun is actually much smaller than what we see. What we see is mostly glare. So here we can see the sun, and we have this pole over here, and you shouldn't be able to hide the sun behind that pole because it's wider. But as you'll see, as it goes over, it looks like it's going over the pole, but it's not. It's just the glare from the real sun. So the real sun is about the thickness of that pole, maybe a tiny bit thicker. and it's hiding behind there. So when we look at the sun, I don't even think the sun that we see is a physical sun. I think it's an apparent sun being projected through the dome. So here's the sunset over a flat Earth. Take a look at this. So the sun was setting, and I sent my drone up, and when I went up, we can see the sun again. So here is an atmospheric horizon, and down here, you can kind of see it right there. That's the land horizon. But your eye can't see the difference between these two. And the sun just goes beyond that atmospheric, I call it the atmospheric deck of opacity. Even on a clear day, you'll do that. I have pasted in my clouds right there, and it's just going beyond it. It's going beyond it. And when there's no ability to see underneath it, you think it's just going below the curve because you've been programmed to think that. And the sun just goes away. It's just going beyond the atmospheric deck, which you can't see. It just becomes opaque. When the sky becomes opaque, when the air becomes opaque, it becomes what we call sky, right? The sky is just the opaqueness of the air, and then it just disappears. So here I have a hallway set up where I have my camera, and that pillow at the end there is we'll call that the atmospheric deck, clouds, whatever it is, and I have a light above it, and I'm just going to pull that light away. I'm going to pull the light away. And as I pull it away, it sets from the bottom up. Right? But then, if I raise up, a lot of the reason I have that tower in there is people say, at the tower in Dubai, you can watch the sunset and then go up and watch the sunset again. Well, I raise it up and there's the sun again. Is my hallway a sphere? Or I'm just changing the angle that I'm able to see the sun? That's the reason why if you go up higher, sometimes, depending on the atmospheric conditions, you can see something again. Here it is. On the bottom, I have my pillow hallway simulation. On the top, I have the real sunset. And if you compare them, you can see that it's a local light going away, keeping its glow there even after it sets. Both of those look the same because they are the same. But the bottom one is just my hallway where the light's going away. It's not below that pillow. I just can't see it because the lens is below that pillow. When you look into the distance, the horizon is actually thousands of feet above your eye level, but it appears to be at your eye level. Here's one of the sun fade outs that I filmed. Super clear day. And I got my drone up. My friends were at the beach over here, and the sun set from the bottom up 10 minutes ago. And the sun just stopped going down, and then it just disappeared. This was a super clear day. It's already nighttime where I am, but I can see the sun in my drone, right? And it just goes away. It's a zoom in on it, and it's a little blurry, but that doesn't matter. The big problem is the sun was going down, 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 and then it stopped, and it just sat there for 10 minutes until it just faded out. Its light could no longer push through the soup of the atmosphere, and it just went away. When I did this, the Globers went nuts. Photoshop, this, that, but then other people started filming it. It was nuts. This one was filmed from an airplane window. Sun faded out again. Here's just a ground level sun. This is a much drier day, and you can see where the horizon is. The horizon's down, what you would think is the horizon is a Glober, but the sun's going to disappear up here. It's getting smaller and smaller, and it's taking its local light with it, and then it just disappears. People don't pay attention to this. And it just goes away. It goes away. That's it. The sun goes away and takes its local light with it. Now, this was a sun fade-in, right? Watch right about here. The sun is going to come in and appear. You'd think this is the horizon, but right here, there's the sun. Now, this, you're only seeing the top half of the sun. The bottom half is a reflection off of the mirage of the water. This is where the sun is coming from behind the atmospheric deck right here. And all of this is a reflection. There's tons of videos on it in the app under Where Does the Sun Go? Here is a shot of the moon overexposed in Alaska. Now, Is that cameraman falling backwards faster than the speed of sound on a spinning ball, or is that light just moving away? There's the reverse of it. It's just clearly moving away. So the question is, how do we see the sun really rise and go down? It's because we see what I call a personal atmospheric dome. When you look forward on a perfectly clear day, there's only a certain distance that you can see. Then it becomes sky. It becomes opaque. You can see farther straight up because the air is clearer and thinner. So it creates this personal dome that looks something like this. And as the sun passes over, you see the apparent sun on your personal atmospheric dome, and perspective will make it go into the ground. So here's a little experiment I did. I got a half glass dome, and I'm bringing a light in from the side. First you'll see it. I'm just showing you this is how everything's distorted at the beginning. But here we go. So here comes the light on the right-hand side. And that's the source sun, the flashlight, and then the apparent sun is on the ground there. Now the observer is in the middle of his personal atmospheric dome, and he sees the sun just appear on the horizon, just like we see it. Let me zoom in. I'll show it again. So the sun just appears and brings its light with it. And then as the sun moves across your personal atmospheric dome, you'll see it rise, right? The apparent sun and the source sun. And that's the sun that we see. Now remember that source sun, because we're going to show you that when we get to eclipses. Evening dusk, and then the sun goes away, and it becomes nighttime. That's how we experience the world. Where does the sun go? On the frequently asked questions page of my app. How do time zones work on a flat Earth? Well, there should be 24 time zones, lines from the North Pole to the South Pole, separating the globe like sections of an orange, right? But there's some really wacky time zones. But how do time zones work? Here I am. I'm on the East Coast right here, right? So here are the time zones. Eastern, Central, Mountain, and Pacific. As the sun is farther away, it's lower for me. Somebody way out there would have the sun higher up. It's very, very simple. The sun circles around. The flat Earth is a perfect clock. It keeps the most perfect time, better than any Swiss watch or any timepiece, because the sky is what time is calculated from. There's a whole section on time zones, images of the time zones, really explaining it in the app. If the Earth is flat, then why do we see different stars in the north and the south? That's always a question that we get. So here we are in a giant warehouse, and we see these there's lights at the top here. And if you walk to the far end of that warehouse, you're going to see different lights. But think of it if I add the atmosphere in. Watch right down here. I'm going to add the opacity of the atmosphere, and it's going to hide those lights. So let's say you were way down at the other end, and I called you on your cell phone. I said, look up. Do you see the same lights I see? You see completely different lights. And that's because the Earth is flat, and you're just looking up at local lights in the sky. So that's with the atmospheric opacity. But those lights don't go below the floor. They just get to the point where you can't see them. These street lights here, they're going away, and I'm going to overlay a simple sunset time lapse. And the sun takes the same path as it goes away. It just appears to be going down. It's getting into the thicker atmosphere, and then it just gets hidden in that atmosphere. I see the curve. I just had a pilot to me say, on my fly airplane, I've seen the curve. You don't see the curve. You think you see a curve because you've been programmed to it, right? So here we got a guy looking out at the horizon, and that's the edge of the ball Earth if you're a globe believer, right? So I'm going to add a horizon line in here. I'm going to take out the image. I'm going to raise up. We're going to look straight down at the guy, and we're going to say his horizon at 12 o'clock is right there. So it's X distance to his horizon. So the horizon is where you see the sky meet the ground due to perspective, not due to Earth curvature. The issue is when you look to the sides, you don't see that far. Those left and right lines are longer than the other ones, and you can't see that far. How you really see is this. It's like your head inside of a hula hoop, and the hula hoop is your horizon. It doesn't make the Earth a ball. It's you see in a circle, and your programming tells you it's a ball. So if you're on a ball everything should go down and away from you. The farther out you go, the lower it's going to be. You're at the top of the ball. Everything should go down and away. So when you look out on over the ocean, you have to believe that it's going down and away. The question I have is, why is the farther boat higher than the closer boat? Right? So you have to believe that it's down and away. But if we fade that out and we bring in a hallway, which we know is flat and straight, we're going to see the same thing, right? Here's a hallway, same perspective. We'll bring the water back in. It's the same. We know the hallway is flat, but we have to assume that the ocean is curved. So if we bring the boats back right here, and then we'll take the water out, the perspective is exactly the same. The curved ocean behaves exactly like the flat earth due to magical ball magicness, or it's just flat. It's just flat. So the big one is that we were taught as little kids is boats disappear over the horizon. We were taught this because a guy who was a clown who started wearing a jacket, a lab coat, taught us this. You all remember seeing this probably.
They don't disappear all at once. First, the bottom will disappear. See, the bottom of the ship is gone. Now we can see midway up, and then the whole thing disappears. Now, ships came back. They didn't fall off a table. So people realized that the world is curved. I mean, it's a big curve, but it's curved. So, the process...
So, this is what children were shown. We were all shown this. They've shown it multiple times. And it's easy to understand. A 5-year-old can understand it, right? To understand some of the stuff I've been talking about, you have to actually think and use your brain. But anybody can understand that a boat would disappear bottom up over a ball. And that's true. The problem is we'd all be dead and you wouldn't be able to observe it. Here I have some little figurines on the floor, on a flat floor, and you can see the ones in the distance are higher, even if I raise up, than the other ones. This is how we see the world, but we're told that the earth is a ball. Here I have them on a ball, and the ones in the distance are hidden behind the earth curve. But if you look at the water beyond that, the water's ramping up. The water's not curving down and away. So, if we were outside playing hide and go seek and I duck behind a hill, could you see me? Right? The hill would be blocking you. And if I had a super zoom P1000 camera or the Hubble telescope, I couldn't zoom you back in because you're hidden behind a physical curve. Well, that's what Earth curve is supposed to be. So when you ask a glober, do boats disappear over the horizon? They say yes. And I say, okay, do you see a boat on this horizon? And they say no. And then you say, okay, well, let's zoom in. And we zoom in and we zoom in and we're increasing the angular size of things that we see in that horizontal eye zone. And all of a sudden, you can see a boat. And they go, oh, the boat wasn't far enough away. That's what it is. Oh, so the reason you don't see boats anymore is because they're too far to see or over the horizon, and they changed their story right there. Aristotle, I think it was, however many years ago, said that he observed boats going disappearing over the horizon, but he didn't have a telescope like we have now. So boats don't disappear. They do disappear, but not over the horizon. They disappear beyond. So the question is, how far is that boat? I don't know. But I do know how far these two oil platforms are, right? The first one is 6 miles away. The other one's over 10 miles away. The camera's 8 feet off the ground. And according to the Globe religion, the horizon should be 3.5 miles away. Now, what does that mean? If the horizon's 3.5 miles away, that means the water beyond the horizon should be hidden behind the hill, and you shouldn't be able to see it. But I can see the water beyond where the horizon should be. I can see it beyond the second one, and I can see it from miles beyond the third one, right? We've done the calculations, and the radius of the Earth would have to be something like 400,000 miles, when the actual fake radius that they tell us is less than 4,000, right? So the Earth is either a lot bigger, and that's a problem, because all of orbital flight stuff, everything is based on the radius of the Earth. So if the Earth is bigger, then everything is a lie. But it's not. It's flat. Well, why can't I see Paris from New York? Why can't I see Paris from New York? I get that all the time, right? So we can't see forever because we talked about this. The atmosphere becomes opaque over distance, right? And as you see, those mountains are getting lighter and lighter and lighter into the distance, to the point where you just can't see them. And when you can't see any further, it becomes sky. You think that's your horizon out there, but the horizon is beyond that last very faint arrow, and it just gets farther and farther. But when you can't see it, you know, if you're a globalist, you just say, oh, that's the Earth curve. Well, if you believe that we should be able to see Paris and you calculate the curve of the Earth, you'd realize you couldn't see Paris. But you believe that we should be able to see into space, because when you look for Paris from New York, you're looking out into space. Paris is below the curve, right? So neither of those are true because you're just looking across the flat Earth. So this is across Lake Michigan, the Chicago skyline. And now you can't see the bottoms of the buildings because they're lost in the mirage and the marine layer, waves, angular resolution limits of our eyes. But if you look carefully, these buildings are still there over an 18-hour time lapse. The weather's changing, the humidity's changing, the temperature's changing. But you have to believe that they're all miraging there perfectly. The problem is not seeing the bottoms of the building. The problem is the top of the tallest building should be several hundred feet below the curve. But we can see all of them, and you have to believe that that's a mirage. This was a picture that was taken recently by non-flat earthers. World record, well, not world record, but they were looking at this mountain from Mount Monviso from Pisa, right? And the distance, and it was only a certain day of the, there's only a certain day of the year that they could see it. And the target hidden height, according to their Earth curve calculator, is 12,978 feet. The elevation is 12,602. So there should be 376 feet of curvature above the top of that mountain, but we can see the whole mountain, right? You can't see the light that's bouncing off that mountain, but you can see the sunlight, which is stronger, and it can push through to your eyes and silhouette the mountain. So you have to believe that the mountain's below the curve, the sun is already set, the sun is refracting up, and the dark mountain is refracting up, blocking the sun, right? That doesn't make any sense. The reason you don't understand it is not because you're stupid, it's because it's stupid, right? Also across Lake Michigan, you can see Milwaukee. You see that line of lights there? Those are the street lights, building lights in Milwaukee. You'd need buildings taller than 3 World Trade Towers stacked on top of each other to see anything at all. But we can see all of those lights. They're just going to scream refraction. Something that can't refract is microwaves. Microwaves require a line of sight. So there was a microwave called the LoRa transmission from a boat to a buoy. And if it was 10 miles away, there should have been 66 feet of curvature and it shouldn't have worked. But they did it over 800 miles and it worked, right? 800 miles. That would be 85 miles of curvature, but it worked. Earth is flat. I mean, you have to do mental gymnastics to explain that on a globe. Another one they love is the Lake Pontchartrain Causeway. They show this distorted picture. If the Earth was curved that much, it'd be like 20 miles around, maybe. I mean, that's a ridiculous picture. So, you know, they ignore pictures like this from different angles where you can see that it's straight, and there is no curvature there. So, there's a channel called My Lunch Break that looks into the old world stuff, and he was able to obtain the original 1954 and 1968 blueprints for that bridge. And going through them, there is absolutely no mention of adjusting for curvature in anywhere in the building of this 23.8 mile long bridge. But they also included a separate one-page document from 2017 that mentions that the shorter the spans, the less curvature. Nothing on the originals. In 2017, after Flat Earth was taking off and taking over, they added that. Not suspicious at all. right? Here's some observations from Dubai. We have somebody here from Dubai. I met him yesterday. Mohammed. And Dubai is a great place to have long observations because it's very dry and very clear, and I guess there's not much pollution, but they're seeing mountains using Peak Finder that are incredible distances away. That one had 350 miles of curvature. This next one here, 745 miles of curvature, but we see it. Must be refraction. This was the Go Fast rocket, a couple screenshots, which was shot up by Red Bull in Arizona at 11 a.m. At 11 a.m. And it took off here. The sun was here. The moon was over Australia. Well, when it went up, it saw the moon. Well, if the rocket was here, it would literally be a millimeter above this ball, barely. And the moon's down here. There's no explanation on the globe for that. It could see the moon. Again, we can see too far. Tons of stuff there. Now, eclipses. Eclipses prove the globe, right? Absolutely not. They actually disprove the globe. We'll go over a couple different types of eclipses. So, solar eclipses is when the moon allegedly goes in front of the sun. The problem is they last different amounts of time, right? But if you look at every single world record length solar eclipse, they all happened in the north, and this is why.
Did you know that all of the longest solar eclipses all occurred north of the equator? Now, isn't that a curious fact? Let's take a look at what is the cause of that. On a flat Earth with a circling sun, the sun would have to travel faster when in the southern hemisphere, to cover more distance every 24 hours to complete its full circle. Now let's take a look at two solar eclipses happening, one with the sun in the north and the other in the south. Notice the northern eclipse starts first. As the eclipses continue, you will see the southern eclipse ends before the northern one. All of the longest solar eclipses happen in the north because the Earth is flat.
So, there's no explanation for that. It's like winning the lottery, infinite number of times. That it works perfectly in the north. Now, my belief is that the actual sun, the source of the sun is above the firmament, and then we see a reflection like I showed with that glass dome, and we see the apparent sun. And you can't see the sun, the real sun, because it's bright and the sky is fluorescing and you just can't see through it. But during a solar eclipse, when the light is diminished, you can see something. So if you look at this right here, this guy right here, it's locked to the sun. This is moving around. This one is a lens flare, but this one is locked. Now, it's about 85% eclipse. The sun is 85% eclipse, but it's just blowing out the lens right there. So we're seeing this mini eclipse right next to the eclipse. And we're like, what is that? Right? So I did a little experiment. On the right is an actual eclipse I filmed. It was a hazy day, so it was easy to film it. And on the left, I have what I call my paper towel eclipse, right? So we're seeing a projection onto a paper towel from a source behind it, right? Here's a side view. I got my source light here. I got my Snapple bottle cap, which is the moon, eclipsing it. Now you don't see the bottle cap. No one's ever seen the moon approach, eclipse, or exit the face of the sun, right? And you just see the apparent sun. This is what we see. So I decided, well, what if the sky's a little more transparent? So I used paper tissue. And if you look right here, this is the source behind the paper tissue. Here comes the eclipse. You don't see it. This is the source. I'm looking through the sky. And if I compare that to the actual eclipse, it looks exactly the same. There's really no explanation for that on a globe Earth. Well, lunar eclipses, only a round planet can create a circular. You're told that only a round planet, if the Earth was a disk, it's not a disk. it would create a little line. You see all the memes, and Bill Nye, the lion guy with the bow tie, made many videos just gaslighting us. But when you use a ball to cast a shadow on another ball, it's not curved.
Up with a flashlight, the Earth, and the Moon as a golf ball. Now we see it casts a circular shadow on the wall. But check this out, guys. Check out the shadow. It's not going to be circular. It's a straight line. So you can go check this out for yourself, guys. Two spheres doesn't cast a circular shadow. It casts a straight line. Doesn't cast a circular shadow. It casts a straight line.
They tell us that is what's happening, but that is not what we observe. So, lunar eclipses debunk the globe. There's also the Selenilian eclipse, where the observer can see the sun and the moon above the horizon, and the shadow comes in from the top. That's impossible. As a matter of fact, that's what scientists call it, the impossible eclipse, because it's geometrically impossible on a globe Earth. And that's what they do. They just call it impossible. They don't say anything else.
Hey, everybody, a quick message that I'd like to share with all of you. Our lives are filled with toxins in our air, food, and even in the information we're taught. Avoiding them all is impossible, but helping your body detox doesn't have to be complicated. That's where Masterpiece comes in. Just 5 drops under your tongue twice a day, and that's it. Super easy, super simple, and it doesn't even taste bad. I've tried countless supplements, and while generally I'm pretty healthy, I didn't really feel much of an effect. But with Masterpiece, it delivered noticeable benefits. Check out the podcast I did with Terry from Masterpiece, linked below this video, or you can find links directly to Masterpiece on my website, flatearthdave.com, or in the shopping section on the app. The key to health is to detoxify. Now back to the show.
Satellites, Starlink. That's a big one. It's really easy. So many of us have seen the Starlink satellites going by, right? That closest those Starlink satellites can be is 350 miles. They're the size of a kid's school desk, but somehow we can see them. Anyone that's seen them, you can tell that there's something very close. So to say that proves that they're satellites, you have to say that there's no way they can fake that. There's no way they could fake that, right? There's no way they could fake anything like a line of lights in the sky, right? So you'd have to believe that this could not be faked with drones, right? I think it's drones. And the funny thing is, Elon Musk is putting them up, and his brother bought the largest drone company in the world right around the same time that these things started showing up in the sky. Just another coincidence. What about star rotation? Stars rotate in the opposite direction in the south. That's what we're told. We're told it with confidence, with an Australian accent, and we believe it, but it's not true. Right? They rotate in opposite directions. Well, that can only happen on a spinning ball, right? Well, it's not even true, right? So here we got, I'm just showing you in Stellarium, no matter where you are in Earth, when you face north, the stars go counterclockwise. Now, I'm not going to change my location, right? No matter where you are, in Australia or America, they go counterclockwise when you face north. When you turn south, they go clockwise. Again, another straw man, gaslighting, whatever you want to call it. They tell us something, we can't explain it. Say Earth is a globe when the original story is not even true, right? We're corkscrewing through space. This is what they want you to believe. We're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. We're chasing the sun at 66,600 miles an hour. The sun is flying through the universe at 400,000 or 500,000 miles an hour, and all the planets are keeping up and staying on a flat plane around the sun. Right? If we did a time lapse of the sky, it should look like that. Right? It shouldn't look like this unless the stars are fixed above us, rotating around a fixed point. Now, you guys know what parallax is, right? Parallax is things in the distance move faster than things in the foreground, right? The sailboats in the foreground are moving faster, apparently, than the ones in the background. That makes sense. But the problem is the stars move faster than the sun. Which one do they tell us is farther? The stars move faster than the sun. The stars outrun the sun through the sky. Again, something that you're never taught in school. You never really think about it. But when you do, again, it's just another evidence of flat Earth. Southern Star and moon rotation, tons of great videos on that in the app. Orbits in the heliocentric model are the biggest faith religion in the world. Here's what's going on. The Earth is going around the sun. The moon is going around the Earth. The moon would have to, ready, right here, it would have to speed up. Then it has to slow down even more to let the Earth pass it. Then it has to speed up again, right? What's the mechanism that does that? You can just scream gravity, but there's no explanation for that, right? While we're corkscrewing around chasing the sun, the moon is corkscrewing around us. You have to believe all of this is going on perfectly for billions of years, never changes. Gravity pulling here and there doesn't change it. Again, it's a faith-based cult religion if you believe that, right? Imagine this runner trying to run around this car. Even better, get a friend, tell them to ride their bicycles slowly down the road and try to run circles around them. Try to run circles around them. That's what the moon's doing around the Earth. It makes no sense. The speeds I was just telling you about are incomprehensible. Here's a rocket sled. It goes by a Mach 8.6 times the speed of sound. Right? You have to believe that we live on a lumpy ball surrounded by water and air that's going 10 times faster than this, when you can't even fathom twice this speed. Besides that, it's chasing the sun at 100 times this speed in a curved trajectory. Your mind cannot even process what I just said because it's ridiculous. It's impossible. And we could build stuff like this that the slightest movement of the ground would knock it over. I was talking about the gravitational paths of orbits. This is a demonstration of what's called the three-body problem. I got 4 bodies here, equally spaced, equal mass, and you just put them and let their gravities work on each other. In a short time, it goes into chaos mode. And once it goes into chaos mode, no computer can figure out what it's going to do next. But we have all of our planets and moons in our solar system, alignments and everything, but nothing ever goes out of whack. Right? This is what our solar system would look like if we just had 4 bodies in it, let alone more. Again, this is a geometric impossibility in the globe. One of the biggest ones is, flying from Santiago to Australia is twice as far from California to Spain or whatever. How does it take the same amount of time? It's pretty easy. These guys are walking at the same pace. Who's going to get to the end of the hallway first? The guy on the left or the guy on the right? The guy on the left's going faster, right? He's going faster. Airplanes use jet streams, and at different altitudes, there's jet streams that go, those pink and yellow areas out there are over 300 mile an hour winds. So if you got the Dreamliner 777 or whatever, that flies the Santiago to Australia route, they admit that it can go 650 miles an hour. Probably goes faster. Add a 350 mile an hour tailwind to that, it's going 1,000 miles an hour. But the one from California to Spain is only going 500 miles an hour. In half the distance. They get there at the same time. Earth is a globe, right? That's what people think. We live in an electromagnetic, electrostatic world. We're electrical beings. Everything's electrical. And the world is electrical, right? The air currents and the ocean currents. So here's a little demonstration of how that works. We have our ring magnet. I'm going to put a little water on top of it. I'm going to connect the electrical current, right? Because we live in this electrical world, and throw some pepper in there, and you'll see that we're getting counter-rotating vortices. This is what gives us our jet streams, our currents, our air currents, our water currents, electrical currents. So airplanes follow these currents to make the routes. NASA is in charge of all of the international flight routes, and they launch worldwide. There's 970 weather balloons launched every 12 hours worldwide that send all this data to a supercomputer so they know exactly where the winds are going all the time. Southern flight routes from South Africa to Australia, on the globe it would look like that, crossing the equator. Why? Why wouldn't we just go across the bottom there where the question marks are? Well, that's what it looks like on a flat Earth, and that's why those flights take that route. We're also taught, whoops, go back. You can do that. Look, it's good. We've seen this big curved route. Oh, it's a great circle route. We're on a globe, circle route, right? What does that mean? Well, look at all the land masses that it's touching. On a flat Earth, it's touching the same exact land masses, straight and level. Airplanes fly straight and level over the Earth plane. My favorite one is this, from New Zealand to Argentina, right? FlightAware says this is the shortest route right here. Obvious common sense tell you this is the shortest route. We're not going over Antarctica. We're not going to disturb the penguins. But if you look at it on a flat Earth map, New Zealand, San Francisco, Houston, Texas, Argentina is a straight line on a flat Earth map. Airplanes fly straight and level over the Earth plane. Tons of those emergency landings, southern flight routes in the images section on my app. Faking space nonsense. This is my favorite. NASA, they have a serpent tongue, right? Just a coincidence, I'm sure, right? So let me ask you a question. We're going to go to the beach tomorrow, and I'm going to meet you at the beach. This is the lunar rover, right? If I brought you these beach chairs, would you still be my friend? All right? Right? This was built in 1970 for $38 million. Has there been any inflation since 1970? Yeah, of course, right? And with inflation, for only $32 million, we can get this bad boy, right? If you don't understand that NASA space is just a scam to drain you, drain your mind, drain your wallet, drain your life force, I can't help you, all right? Planet 9 on the horizon. Scientists believe new observatory could soon spot newest member of solar system. Cool story, bro, right? They spotted this more than 1 billion light years away. You can't even fathom what a light minute is, right? 1 minute. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous amount of space. So Pluto, let's go through this. Pluto was discovered the same year that Pluto the planet was discovered. Pluto the dog was created the same year as Pluto the planet, right? And it just happened to have a Pluto-shaped desert on it. Kind of weird. I'm going to skip through this. Oops, I want to go back to that. So, sorry. All right, so this was an article last year. Hubble, cool tinfoil covered soda cans in space, spotted a galaxy with probably inhabitable planets 13.4 billion light years away. Let's just break that down. Stick with me. This is easy. 1 light year is 5.8 trillion miles, right? You can't even fathom what that is. Everyone that's watched my interviews, 1 trillion seconds is 31,000 years, all right? Just let that sink in, right? So 1 light year, 5.8 trillion miles. The moon, 237,000 miles away. That's 24.8 million times farther than 1 light year, than the moon, right? But that's not the problem. The problem is you now have to multiply that number, 24 million times farther, by 13.4 billion. And they're seeing things that far, and we can't zoom in on the moon lander, right? They're literally laughing at you when you buy this science fiction nonsense. 10 minutes. All right, I could do it. I'm close. This is blatant fraud. It's just complete and total nonsense. NASA showed the Hurricane Erin. It's 500 to 600 miles wide. Well, that's like 6,000 miles wide, right? Again, nonsense. Mars all of a sudden became a watercolor painting. Nonsense, right? This is the SR-71 Blackbird. It's thin. It's aerodynamic. It goes Mach 3.2. Any faster, it rips apart. This is the space shuttle. It's very aerodynamic, right? It's got these holes in it. It's just got rough edges, blunt nose. Look at the windows. Imagine the windows like that on your car, right? Inset like that, the buffering. This thing goes Mach 33. You know, a 747, at least that's a little streamlined. But this thing goes Mach 33. 10 times faster than the other one that'll rip apart any faster. Again, if you believe it, I can't help you. Jeff Bezos sent Katy Perry, and this is the picture they let us see. Again, just telling you that it's all, mind control nonsense. There's different ways they fake rockets. When we see the 3 towers around the launch pad, that's a hologram projector, right? And here's Jeff Bezos, who has the 3 towers around, and check this out. We're watching this, it's going up, and all of a sudden there's a little bit of a glitch. Something went wrong, and there's no explanation other than video fakery. This one I call the 2-pack rocket. Right? And they let us see this. Now, I go back and forth. Did they screw up, or did they do it on purpose? I think there's a lot of revelation of the method here, because they give us a chance to say no, but if we just look at it and say, oh yeah, it's all fine, so what, you eat babies, I don't care, right? It's up to us to do something. Apollo 10, the clouds were the same going to and coming from the moon. They're lazy or revelation of the method. Somebody tell me, I don't know, right? This is a picture of the rover on Mars, and we zoomed in on it, and we found life on Mars. Check it out. Life on Mars. It's proven. Okay? Or maybe it's not on Mars. Right? 172-pound footprint in dry powder, 33,000 pounds, no footprint. Weird. Astronauts that can go out in spacewalks and handle a 500-degree swing in temperature need blankets when they land back on Earth. Right? They love talking about all the food they made. They made sushi. Right? And which was held down on the plate thanks to the weight of the condiments. These are mainstream articles. Just put in your Google search anything like NASA discovers and watch the nonsense that you get. Here is Elon landing his rockets upright in the middle of the ocean. They supposedly land on you can turn that down just a little bit. They land on a raft, right? But they always cut it out. There's no one there. It's a drone raft. Now watch the second set, right? So this is just movie magic. Now the question I have over here are these two coming up next. Where's the raft, right? And again, they're phallic-shaped rockets. Where's the raft? Who's filming this? There's nobody out there. Watch this one here, right? Where's the raft? It's just nonsense, absolute nonsense. Right? I'm calling bullshit, right? Speaking of bullshit, oops, I don't know how that got in there. Oh, some more bullshit. Nope, some more bullshit. All right. So why would they lie? That's the question everybody asks, right? I don't know. I'm not the one that's lying, but I do have a lot of ideas that are probably right. They take our world and they cut it out. They wrap it around a ball. And they tell us, that's it, there's nothing more, right? And you're not allowed to explore this white area, right? This area here because of the penguins. What if they did that to Australia? Whoops, sorry about that. Go back. What if they did that to Australia? And Australia wouldn't know, and they just wrapped it around a ball and said, this is where you live? And that's it. Well, they wouldn't know about any of the other continents. Well, maybe we don't know about other continents. Maybe they're hiding angels, right? In the book of Ezekiel, it talks about angels looking like a wheel in the middle of a wheel. And when we zoom in on these stars, we see these, I'm seeing some wheels inside of wheels, right? These aren't burning balls of gas in an infinitely space vacuum, which violates natural law. Maybe they're hiding the truth of our health, that health is not chemical, it's electrical. Maybe they're hiding free energy technology. Our history has definitely been hidden. Maybe they're hiding our true potential. Maybe we are these incredible, or not maybe, we are incredible, connected, spiritual, powerful beings, and they cap us off with a globe, and they disconnect us from our true source, and they make creation seem ridiculous, and that's a prison for our mind, right? So the globe is a prison for your mind, and people will defend it and not even know what they're defending because they're children when they're defending it, right? The truth is not something you keep for yourself. It's something you are required to share with the world. And that is it.
Let's do a Q&A. Dave, you've got 10 minutes for a Q&A.
Okay, beautiful. You can,
Anyone have questions?
You can turn the music down. Although it's a great song.
Or is it all just smoke and deceit?
Thank you.
Welcome to the edge of the unknown.
Hey, Flat Earth Dave, right here. I'm just curious your status on the moon, your take on the moon. Do you think it's a disk? Do you think it gives its own cool light based on the experiment?
Well, the moon definitely has a cool light to it. It definitely affects women's cycles. It affects a lot of things. All I can say is check out Lydia's presentation this week. She's going to talk about when there was no moon, and I'm going to be there because I don't know about that. So the moon, I think, is a plasma. I don't think it's definitely not a rock in space. So there's a lot I don't know. Go ahead, next.
I was born in Ecuador, and I went to the volcano, and they say it's the closest point to the sun. But I also went to the capital, which is in Quito, like the middle of the world, and I was able to see like the water shifts in different sides, like according to north and south. And also I kind of like they did an experiment on me and put pressure, and I was more weak. But they say towards gravity. So I just want you to ask you what's your perspective about the equatorial line according to the map.
I'm not sure I fully understood the question.
I say what's the Ecuadorian line according to the equator? Yes.
So the equator is just the midpoint of where the sun travels from the north to the south. It crosses over in September and March. And, they tell us that the Coriolis makes things spin in different directions. You'll see videos about that, and it's absolute nonsense. I have drains on my house that spin in different directions. So I don't know. Did I answer that question? I'm not 100% sure. Next. Good.
Hey, Dave. What do you think is causing the curved shadow during eclipses? If it's not the moon or...
So that's a great question. And my first answer is falsification is independent of replacement. Somebody stole my cookie at my house, the last cookie, and I think it was you. And until you could tell me who did it, I'm going to blame you. There's some very complicated answers, and they're all speculation. Basically, the only thing truthful you can say about anything in the sky is that it's a light in the sky. That's it. It's a light in the sky, and we could speculate all day. So I think there's some dark bodies up there. I think that the sun and the moon interact and power each other, but I really couldn't tell you. The question is about the lunar wave. Crow 777 Radio filmed the lunar wave back in 2012 or something. And it was like a double wave that went over the moon. Since then, other people have filmed it over planets and stars. So you'd rather change the name to the firmament wave or something like that. Again, it could just be a refresh rate, who knows, in this simulation, or it could be something else. Again, we can speculate all day about it, but I'd like to try to talk about things on the Earth that we can manipulate and task. So I don't know. My answer is I don't know. Next. Are the stars in front of the moon is your question?
Okay, give me a minute.
Hold on. Let's get the microphone.
Are the stars other world?
Are stars other worlds? Yeah. Again, speculation, but like when we look up at Mars, maybe that is the sun of another pond beyond Antarctica. We live in a big pond, right? Maybe there's other worlds beyond the shoreline. I think this world is more metaphysical than even any of us think, even me. So I think the farther out we go from the center, the more metaphysical things become. And, the sky is, there could be, I think there's 7 heavens above us. I couldn't explain any of that to you. I'm here in this world having this physical experience, and I can measure things here. I couldn't tell you a ton about them. Go ahead.
Hi, Dave.
How does GPS, wait, hold on.
Can you hear me?
Who's talking? Go ahead.
Me. Hello?
Go.
Hi. There's obviously a lot of people involved in the movement now. Is there no way you could get like a GoFundMe to fund like a rocket with a camera to hit the dome, or to make some kind of proof that you have yourself, that you create?
That was kind of quiet, but you're saying that there's a lot of people in the movement. Can we send a rocket up? A weather balloon.
Could you not get people to put money together? Because there's obviously a lot of people in the movement to fund some kind of rocket to create some kind of your own proof.
Well, the rockets would cost millions of dollars, and getting people to donate millions of dollars is pretty difficult. It's already been done, though. And, people say, we need to do more tests. We don't need to do any more tests. The Earth has been proven flat 1 billion times over, and there's no proof of the globe. The question is just awareness and getting the false ideas out of people's heads. We can see too far. There is no axial rotation. Every single scientific experiment ever for axial rotation or curvature has proven the opposite, but they hide that from us in school. You don't even need a P1000 camera. With your own eyes, you can see too far, right? And, if the Earth is bigger than they say, then all of science is wrong, because everything is based off the radius of the Earth, which, again, has been falsified numerous times. And yes, we've sent balloons up. We've done all sorts of stuff. Sending a rocket up, it's like there's people that want to go sail out south and discover, a cut through Antarctica. Cool, love the idea. I don't think the elite are ever going to go, oh, those darn flat earthers, they're going to find that the Earth is flat. They're going to try to not let that happen. But I don't discourage people from pushing it. Whoa, how do we get there? Next question.
Yeah, I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
So we're, let's say, in a pond, like you were saying. What is the edge, and what's on the other side of the pond?
Great question. I don't know. The answer is that water needs to be contained. You can't bring me 5 gallons of water without a container. So you can't stick water to the outside of a ball in a space vacuum, spinning, have it be calm and level. What's beyond Antarctica? I don't know. For some reason, all the countries in the world agree on 2 things. Nobody can independently explore beyond 60 degrees south, and everybody needs to get vaccinated. Weird. All right, that's it. Everybody, wait. One last thing before Charlie comes back up. For those of you that were not here earlier, we had one of our speakers, Ryan Vail. He had his last $5,000 of his name stolen from him. He came here with his last $5,000 to be a speaker here and figure out what's going to happen financially. But it got stolen in something happened here where he was robbed. And we are asking anybody that can donate. We're going to have 2 boxes at the back there on the way out. Anything you can donate to make him whole again, because that's what we do. We find solutions and we help each other when we can. So if you donated before or you can't donate, no problem. Thank you. If you can, the boxes will be in the back. 2 nice ladies will be holding them. So thanks.
And we have a crypto option as well.
Yes. Oh, crypto. Pop that up there. The QR code. If you want to send some Bitcoin or Monero, that'd be amazing. So that's it. Thanks, everybody.
Hey everyone, if you enjoyed this interview, please help support my work and help wake up others by referring or gifting the app to at least one person today. By doing that, you're going to help wake people up and help me to continue doing other interviews like this. With the censorship out there that's going on, it's very difficult to find relevant information. And the app, as you know, brings people to the truthful information of our world. So help support my work, help support your efforts in waking up friends, family, and strangers. Gift them the app or just recommend the app. Check the links below for information on how to gift the app, or just refer the app to others and use your referral code to earn Dome cryptocurrency and a free subscription. Thanks.